Hi, my name is Terence. I am a community manager at Free Lives.
Hi, I'm Adonè. I'm the assistant producer at Free Lives.
So I thought it would be really cool for us to talk about the communities that have developed around indie games and indie game development. Where have you engaged with other indie gamers and other indie developers before?
In South Africa, we've got Make Games SA, which is basically like online and in-person engagement. And then there's a bunch of things that happen on that forum that you can enter, like SA Game Jam, whatever other types of jams or get-togethers will usually go through there.
So what actually happens at these community meetups, the Make Games SA meetups, when you're together in real life? Are you just kind of meeting and chatting, or are there events that actually happen?
It's usually talks, so it can be like a 20-minute talk. And then focus feedback is like giving someone an opportunity to spend like 10 minutes showing a game and getting people to provide feedback on that, and then it ends off with like a free-for-all. So it's like a really good space for testing a game. If you have a concept that you want to work with, or if you've jammed something and you want to do a focus feedback, it's like a really nice way of just, usually someone will like come up and play the game through, and then you chat through it and people can give you feedback on that. Compared
to the other groups that I've worked with, the independent gaming communities are a lot more like caring and loving about each other. The kind of feedback we get about our games, for instance, it's very much of, hey, I found this bug. Hopefully you guys can fix it. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Hope it helps.
And I think that the indie community, I think, is always super stoked if you try something. Like if you make a small game, maybe it's really shit. Maybe you just like step-by-step follow the tutorial that you tried.
Yeah.
Like I think that's the thing, is like what I've found really encouraging is just like, I might be down on myself because I feel like, oh God, this looks horrible or whatever. But people are just like, yeah, great, that's the stepping stone, that's the next step.
Right.
Here's how, like you said, like we can help you with this, or have you thought about doing it differently or whatever.
So is there a space maybe for, or maybe this is something that we should be talking about in a bigger platform, welcoming the non-devs into the community as well? So just because you don't make a game doesn't mean we don't want your feedback and we don't want you to be part of this meetup that we have. How do we do that? How do we get those two, I want to say like separate factions to be in one space?
No, I mean, I think it would be cool to create spaces.
You're the expert in this,
yeah, obviously, right? No, I mean, I think it would be interesting to create spaces where people locally who make games and play indie games can like hang out and share experiences, that kind of thing. I do think that like what something like Make Games SA, for instance, like it is very much geared towards like trying to make the thing, yeah. Because I mean, like it's also meant, and not in a negative way. It's meant to be like a way of supporting people who are trying that. So you want to keep the focus quite strongly on like, hey, feedback on a game. So like you're and maybe getting a sense from like, if you go to Make Games SA meetup, these are other people that have tried this. Okay. Whether they've done it successfully or not, fine, but they've, have tried some things that you tried. Whereas I think if you want to try and get those two types of communities together, I think that would be rad and like a very exciting prospect. You might even convince some of those people who play to try and make.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure like what kinds of forums you create for that.
So
it's actually interesting, yeah. I wonder if people making games locally have really, like, what does their audience look like locally?
Yeah. Let's say you are someone who is interested in game dev specifically, not just indie gaming, but indie game dev, and you're looking into the community. What steps do you think that person should take to get as involved as possible? How can they make sure that they get the most out of the small community that's already there?
If you have something to show and to get feedback on, then you've got something that someone can go like, oh, I think that's a great idea. Have you tried X, Y, and Z?
Right.
So you're not just saying like, I have an idea for. You're saying like, here's a little bit of something that I tried. Going to a meetup is definitely a good way to get started. Identifying a buddy potentially might be a good way to do it. So like maybe if you, because I'm just thinking like the forums can be scary and like. It's, some people don't.
It's dangerous to go alone.
It's dangerous to go alone. Take a buddy, yeah. Like, I very much started this because my boyfriend was like, hey, I want to do this. And we did it with a couple of friends and tried it out and then got involved.
Well, I'd love to find out from other people who are in the community or who are trying to get into the community what struggles they've had, what their story is.
I was wondering about, because we've been talking about community, and I think about it in a particular way of like to an extent, like face-to-face kind of thing, because it's
IRL
like IRL kind of community. But obviously, you're dealing with very different type of community, right? So like
very online.
What like pulls it together as a community for you?
Every community needs a focal point. So whether it's knitting or parenting or a particular sports team.
Yeah.
So I find the different games have very unique communities. One game might be guys who just want to talk about the game and nothing else. How to make it better, how to get through levels, how to fix bugs, how to do all the parts of the game. There are other communities who will kind of peripherally talk about the game occasionally, and the rest is just random interactions about their day.
Okay, cool.
So they're using it just as almost like a friendship circle. The game is there, but it's not the most important thing. The people.
Yeah, it's just like a catalyst for a bunch of other relationships.
And then there are people who just are there to watch. So one of the things that I am really trying to do is get those people who are just there to watch and get them engaged, get them thinking about the games they play critically, get them asking questions, get them answering questions. I think the number one thing that it gets lost in online communities, which is a lot more easy to retain in real life, is that each member needs to feel valuable. So if you're going to a meeting in real life, just you taking up a chair gives you immediate value.
Yeah.
Even if you're sitting at the back quietly, your body is taking up space, and that is you're providing some sort of value to the group. Online, you don't have that. So trying to give people who feel like they don't necessarily have a voice, like they have nothing to say, just remind them, no, you have something to say and it's valuable, and we are so glad that you're here, because it'd be a little bit less awesome if you weren't here.
And do you find that there are a couple of people who are like particularly vocal? Like, have you been seeing trends around like people in the community or...
But what I'm finding about the people who are the most vocal is that they are the most helpful as well.
Yeah.
So
no, not vocal in like a negative sense. I just mean like engaged.
The most active.
Yeah.
The guys who are most active are there as really they act as mentors for the new people who are playing.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that was the case.
I very rarely have to answer questions about game issues. Because
people just jump on it together.
Before I get to it, there is
really
a active member who has answered that question in whatever community is in, which is fantastic, and all it takes for us is to just keep giving those active people's kudos
and the space to
do it, and to say, love it, keep going, and that's all they need.
Keep doing that.
Yeah,
that's really cool. It's nice that it's such an encouraging space.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's positive.
You expect like the worst.
No, it's as communities go, it's happy and it's positive and it's encouraging, and that's
awesome.
That's worthwhile.
Yeah. So it seems we want the same thing from communities.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. That's it.